Today I would like to speak about an experience I had in the beginning of this month. I had the opportunity to attend the Mind and Life Summer Research Institute that this year was hosted online like last year as well. And I was one of the 230 participants. And the participants have been from a variety of groups, like mostly scientists, but also activists, scholars and clinicians, and only maybe a handful Buddhists, or especially only, I can say for sure, only 3 monastics. I have to say in the very beginning, I had an extremely rich experience, extremely joyful experience too. Even so, the topic is not something that I greatly rejoice in, of course. The serious topic of the Summer Research Institute was the mind, the human-earth connection, and climate change. And the reason why this conference was called upon is to bring contemplative wisdom with science together, to bring more awareness into interconnectedness of our life, the relationship between earth care, human health, and cooperation. So what really was of interest to me was to see how to look at the indigenous knowledge that is existing on this continent or Indian continent or even Europe, and how science can make use of it, how we can make use of what is already there. And there was so much knowledge, and my presentation is totally subjective because right now I'm so much of interest in what actually has been practiced thousands of years before, and why did we lose that, and what can we do actually to come back to that and to nourish what we had. So therefore, my very short presentation in 10 minutes will be more going into that direction. Yeah, this program was 6 days long, and from the morning, early morning, started with meditation practice till the evening. And it was intermingled with talks, panels, workshops, breakout groups, even silent meditation retreats, Qigong practices, and such. And the presenters have been scientists, have been Buddhist practitioners, people of contemplative tradition. So, and I could not even attend everything because it was just too much to be on Zoom all day long, even so they gave their best to give us the most breaks they could through applied meditative practices or Qigong or something like that. So on 5 days, basically 5 full days and then half day, we looked into 5 topics. The first one is historic and cultural root of human-earth connection and climate change. And then we looked at the history of exploitation and colonialization, then at the individual and structural changes, then the role of contemplative science, practices arts, and and then last but not least, to ask ourselves, how can we go forward collectively? So regarding the historical cultural root of human-earth connection and climate change, this day was especially focused on looking at indigenous practices, communities, on earth care, and what can we learn from them. And I was touched by one presenter. She's a Native American woman. She's a scientist, poet, and her name is Lila June. And she spoke about the revitalization of the pre-Columbian indigenous land management practices that basically was so oriented that carbon could be stored in the long run in the earth through a way of firing that has been lost, this kind of knowledge. The Native American apparently used a lot of firing practices on many parts of this continent here, in a way that in the long run, carbon could be stored in the soil. The soil was much more fertile than it is today with the way how we burn nowadays. So I can't go in detail here, but it also had the effect that it created more biodiversity. So from the beginning on, actually, the Native Americans have been so-called forest scientists. Now we have these modern forest scientists, but asking the natives, they know a lot about these forests. So yeah, then we looked at the history of exploitation and colonialization, and there was an inspiring speaker, an Indian physicist. Her name is Dr. Vandana Shiva, and through quantum physics, she got a realization of the interconnectedness of all life and things. And she basically gave a presentation of tracing back the roots of separation from nature and then how to go forward. She founded an international organization that especially was focused on women's power and the protection of seeds, of the variety of seeds, because with Monsanto also moving into India, they got in trouble with that. And so she is still fighting to protect the variety of native seeds and encourages women to protect what's essential for human survival. Then we looked into individual structural changes, and here was a presenter that was so surprising to me in how much insight she could present and has practiced in her life. Her name is Christiana Figueres. Maybe some of you know her. She was the executive secretary of the UN Framework Convention for Climate Change. And she was the one who initiated the Paris Agreement. She got all these national and subnational governments and all these financial institutions, activist corporations, and NGOs together to jointly agree upon the Paris Agreement in 2015 to make an agreement. I think 195 countries agreed upon to not allow the temperature to rise above 2 degrees to avoid that, especially the most vulnerable will suffer greatly. So she spoke a lot about applied hope and stubborn optimism, and she said to us, we should believe in our world and the causes you care about, that can get better and work to make them so. So also she gave a lengthy explanation how to have communications with people who are thinking differently, who, for example, don't believe in climate change. And she encourages us to look with curiosity and to encourage them to share their vision for future generations. So that was a very good, helpful tip. And she also said, don't even mention climate change, speak in different terms. So that's what she has done in her career. She's generally very optimistic. She has seen a great change on governmental level, cooperative level, as well as individual level from all her international work as a politician, basically. Then I shared, we had all these contemplative practices, arts and science. There was a lot of poetry for some of you who are so interested in poetry. We kind of let poetry inspire us. That these were kind of breakout groups where we could connect with each other and get down from the mind level more to the heart level, I guess. Then meditation practices early on where we had practices to connect with the earth, to connect with the elements, to connect with our body, with ourselves. And there were teachers presenting, such as Kara Lingo. She's a contemplative teacher from the Thich Nhat Hanh tradition and Lehrer. And Willa Baker, she's from the Tibetan tradition. She was a monastic many years in her life herself. And then how to go forward. The leading question of that whole event was how to reawaken our relationship with Earth and all its inhabitants while reigniting our collective responsibilities as stewards of our planetary future. And Matthew Ricard gave one of the last talks, and he was emphasizing that there's only a way forward through caring for others, through altruism. And he emphasized we need care, we need science, and we need to inspire. And he brought in this word wonderment and gave two examples how I understood that. Some of you know him through his excellent photos. He makes these wonderful nature photos where it seems like all is perfect, all the elements are in harmony, and that's kind of increasing in us this kind of wonderment. Yeah, this kind of, the mind gets big and fast, and we are less narrow to our own self. And the same can happen when we meet our teacher. He had two excellent teachers, such as Dilgyö Khyentse Rinpoche, and there you can experience this fastness of this mind of a developed teacher who has bodhicitta. So to hold on to that, and then on a practical level, to simplify, of course. And he instilled a mantra to all participants. Your mantra should be, I need nothing. I need nothing. So to keep that short, there was one participant of this 6-day program who shared her deepest thoughts in a kind of a poem that I would like to pass on to you. We had these breakout groups, and one group question was, what are my feelings about all the past, present, endless losses, and what are my feelings about the vision of the future, where suffering is excruciatingly horrible and widespread. And so she answered in her poem, I feel pure, piercing sorrow. I feel a penetrating, endless fear, a deep terror. But empowered by bodhicitta, I fight off the ravages of despair. Bodhicitta gives me the strength to cry the tears. I need to cry to name the terrors I fear, to face, and then to get with the next act of hope. So yeah, this is how we should think about it. And so yeah, as Vandana Shiva often says, you know, this is one planet we have the opportunity to practice the Dharma on, but there are many, many other planets as well. Yes, of course, but I also tear up because all the suffering that we may experience in this life and in future lives, and we already experience it right now with the extreme heat wave here, that to be able to bear that and to go still forward and to have hope. So I strive certainly for that. And I would like to share with you one more last vow that I would like to make, and maybe you are inspired to follow along, that Villa Baker, this Buddhist teacher from the Tibetan tradition, shared with us. Ecosystems are numerous. I vow to preserve them. Species are dying. I vow to save them. Greed is inexhaustible. I vow to end it. The truth is unfathomable. I vow to understand it. The way forward is inconceivable. I vow to take action. Thank you.